Hi! Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be making paper snowflakes and talking about unique books. It's really cold here in Texas. It's not actually. It's like in the 30s and 40s, and I know that that's like very not cold to a lot of people, but it is to me. And it's January, and like usually people in January have snow. We don't. But if we were to have snow, this would be the month. So I thought it'd be fun today to do a little craft and also just talk about like what makes books unique, what kind of thing, what any unique books that have stuck with me and why I think they're unique. So let's get into it. So what makes a book unique? Obviously, a big part of it is going to be originality, but I think also it just comes down to what a writer can do with things that you've already seen. Because as Shakespeare once said, there's nothing new under the sun. So right now I have these 4 little quadrants here, and what I want is more quadrants. But then they won't be quadrants. So if Shakespeare said that all that time ago, then you know there's nothing new now. So to me, uniqueness is not necessarily something that no one's ever done before, but something that takes what we've seen before and makes it into something new and invigorating. This is not what I wanted, by the way. This isn't what I wanted to occur. So something that I think can sometimes be very unique is actually satire. So now the question is, what do I do with it? So I think that the beauty in satire is that it takes trends that we already know and that we usually hate seeing, and it actually makes it into something that we can laugh at, because it's kind of like making the like overdone into something fresh, and I really enjoy that. I don't know how much I would love like a satire book on society or like a literary fiction satire book, but I would love to read like a dystopian satire, or like a like fantasy satire or romantasy satire. Would be so fun to me. I think that would just be hilarious. Now, for other unique books, there's not much I can say in terms of like objective originality, because something that I find original might not be something you find original, because I haven't read something that reminds you of it, you know? But I can say things that I've read personally that I find unique. All right, it is go time. We're gonna draw a little like pattern here and see what happens. What a snowflake this is. I forgot to mention the reason we're making snowflakes too is because they're always unique. No two are the same. And that's kind of true about books. This is the snowflake pattern I've drawn. Love it. With all of that being said, as like this large preamble, what are some books that I find unique? I would say the first one that comes to mind is the one that I just read recently, which is Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, I believe. And that one was quite unexpected. I mean, obviously the premise of like this woman turning into a dog is not something that you see very often. And I wish it was for me, but it actually wasn't. I would say Night Bitch is one of the most unique books that I've read in terms of like the writing style. It didn't have like any traditional dialogue. Like it's all just like, you know, he said or like she said or whatever. There's no like actual dialogue. You get everything through the lens of the main character. Like it's actually through the narrator, through the main character. So it feels removed, even though it's so personal. And I definitely really liked that. And it makes some interesting statements about motherhood and femininity and the division of like domestic labor, that kind of thing. Here we have a snowflake. We don't have a snowflake. I don't know where I messed up, but clearly it was somewhere. On to unique books that I actually did like. I would say Cemetery Boys is the first one that comes to mind because it's just such an interesting concept of this like magical world that's like also rooted in our own, and the way that the magic was accessible but still unique. And then I also think that it combines so many elements that we don't see in young adult literature, at least I didn't at the time, which is like, you know, transgender representation, like MLM representation, Latinx representation, just like such great things that you never see, and it was combined in such a beautiful and seamless way that I just loved it. Staying in the young adult area, one very unique series that I absolutely adore is The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, because it is magical realism, which you don't see very often, or at least I don't, in young adult. And it's just so lovely the way that she writes the characters. There's also like different family unit representations, and also her prose is just so unlike anything that I've ever seen in young adult. The last young adult book that I want to talk about is another magical realism, and that is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. Now, this is something that if you know anything that sounds similar to this, please send it my way, because I read this like probably nearly 10 years ago now, and I've been searching for something similar ever since. So The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender follows a girl who is born with wings, and although that is like, she's the main character of the story, and that's like the big magical realism element, it follows her entire family, so like a bunch of different generations of women in this family. So like her mom and her aunts, her grandma, her great grandma, like it just follows these women and how they're connected through kind of the sacrifices that they make for love. And they all have some sort of magical realism element to their lives. So that one I think is unique, both for the subject matter and the writing and construction of the plot. The next book that I want to talk about is one that I'm sure we all know, but Song of Achilles. I think that part of the appeal of this book is how special Madeline Miller's writing is, and how kind of like, I mean, I'm sure it's not easy, but like how seemingly easily she's able to make these like mythical figures and like kind of legends of all Western storytelling into these very human and flawed but real characters. She takes the Iliad of all things and puts it into a beautiful, heartbreaking, love-centered story that just resonates so hard. The next book I want to talk about is one that I've started but haven't actually finished, and it's called Crossings by Alexander Landdragon. Now, what's really unique about this book is it's kind of like it's not like a choose your own adventure, which I would love to read, like a adult version of like a choose your own adventure where it's like a real fantasy book that is a choose your own, that would be so cool. But this one is not like a choose your own adventure type of thing. It's more of a like, you can read it in whatever order you have two options in which that you can read the story, and I started reading it in one option, but I think it would be fun to read it twice and like see what differences you see in the book from reading it in different orders. I just love that concept. That's initially what made me buy the book, because I've never seen anything like that. So I think that it's so much fun, and I want to see more of this. Stop it, Clover. So I would love to see more books of like that play on like the actual chronological telling of a story. And the Clover. So these are some unique books that I've read throughout the years. I don't feel like there was a lot of organization to this video, and I apologize for that. We did make a snowflake at the end of it. She's kind of pretty. Thank you so much for watching, and we will be back again with another video next week.